the LEC as G2 and Mad jump into Game 3 picks and bans. G2 have side selection and returned to blue side, 100% picked by teams who are able to do so. And in Game 1, banned away Jace, as well as Poppy and Talia, 2 of the 3 already removed. Do we think any changes happening? In my head, draft isn't the reason that the teams have won their respective games.
I mean, maybe you get rid of Tristana so Caps can't jump in again, but if you're G2, but outside of that, and I think it's kind of been more about execution in game. I still think having things like the Lissandra, the Kalista, that kind of stuff, still may be an issue for Mad Lions. We'll have to see though what that last ban is going to be. More than likely the Rell. We probably don't want to see that this year.
It's either that or the Maokai, isn't it? I mean, you can try and trade off Rell, Maokai, and ban Tristana as well, but I think it's going to be a Rell ban, unless, like you said, in Game 1, Maokai was annoying. It's going to be Kalista, so they're going to ban something else. In that sense, what they're saying is you can get Maokai, we'll get Rell. You can get Rell, we'll get Maokai. So they're trading off that pick. It's just a case of what Mad Lions pair it with is my question. Is it the Renekton again? Yes, it is. So they think that they found a way to deal with the Kled. Now, the Kled was struggling. Actually going to go for the Sejuani instead of the Maokai.
Oh. But this feels a bit weird to me, because I'm like, okay, but then you can take the Maokai. And also then, I thought you'd have
Swain?
What?
Wait, whoa. So Swain Tristana?
This is a Swain flex. It could be top lane Swain, could be support Swain, could be Tristana bot Swain mid. That's a scary flex that I don't think anyone expected to come out. Now, Sylas would be great, but of course they can just put Tristana mid into it, and that's a horror matchup as much as the Swain ult is nice to take away. So going back to the Azir would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest problem, is that you don't really know what the story is with the Swain, like where you're going to put it. I thought they'd actually go like, hey, you know, something like an Alistair, you could always take away here for G2, because you're like, well, then we get Rell and Alistair, which is just a really strong combo and takes it away.
I think it's top lane Swain. I'm seeing BrokenBlade here. Conqueror, top lane Swain, first item, Rylai's into Leandery's, full tank, bone plating. Yeah, I think that's top lane Swain. Rell's still a flex as well, which is quite annoying for Mad Lions to play up against, you know. They can still play some kind of Rell support lane with Kai'Sa, but it's likely a Rell jungle Swain top, and then I think they have to cover off the Kog'Maw Braum here, Mad Lions. Maybe that's your best bet if you just safe guess the Swain is top.
Well, figuring out whether or not that's going to be one additional answer into this Renekton. Once again, Draven and Xayah banned away from the bottom lane. We saw that Jinx a moment or two ago. What direction will Hans and Carzzy go? Of course, we've also seen those support pools being pinched on final picks. It'll be the Maokai, the final one here from Mad.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the Alistair gets banned away here by G2. I still think it's just a really good pick. Even if they try and flex the Swain into that bot lane, look, it'll be a bit of annoying for poke, but you can still get a good amount of that engage off into that bot side, and there's not much the Swain can really do about it. So curious to see exactly what the game plan is, but maybe it is just going to be something like a Kai'Sa ban where they get rid of the AD carry. No, going to be the Rakano instead.
Yeah, I mean, you could play Swain AD carry, but I don't think Hans Sama is the kind of person who strikes me as a Swain mage AD carry player. So yeah, what's the pick for Mad Lions here on 4? It could be taking away the Kai'Sa. Could be something like the Ezreal, but then they have the Kai'Sa to pick. Zeri hasn't been touched at all. Hans Sama doesn't really play Zeri. Aphelios could be a safe option, and I think Mad Lions are trying to avoid the G2 clown house of drafts. You know, not to disregard their draft, but they're going to be doing with some wacky stuff, and Mad Lions want some good, strong team comps to deal with it.
And it's so hard because you've got so many potential options here from G2. You won't know where these champions are going until these final picks are secured. The Aphelios has been locked in for the first time in this series. Once he's got them, we'll figure out what Healy wants to run in that support.
I think with the Rakan ban, Kog'Maw Braum just feels really safe and easy. I mean, they can play Aphelios Lulu, which might be a pain though.
Yeah, I think I'd like a little bit more engage coming through on G2's side though, is my only thing. It is going to be the Kog'Maw Braum, but it feels like at least with the Azir ults, if you're heavily reliant on Rakan or on the Rell, you take the potential here for an Alistair. Like, I know it sucks into Braum specifically, but at least then you've got disengage for the Rell, and then you're kind of able to play front to back. And you still got decent engage coming through for things like the Sejuani.
I think Melee or Lulu could do work in the range support though. As much as I love Alistar too, it's just engaging into that. Double AD carry Braum with a Swain. Maybe just playing peel back's good. Zilean is a good pick into Braum. They're going to play Zilean? Okay, well.
Oh, okay.
Now, there's not a lot of burst on G2, but that can be a revive on a tank for Mad Lions. So they are going to go for the range support option. And it's going to be a speedy Aphelios.
These drafts are wild.
No, this is great.
This is nuts.
And once again, draft has not been the crucially determining factor for Game 1 or Game 2 thus far this series. Hylissang has got 12 professional games on Zilean with an 84% win ratio. So a lot of historical success. We will finally lock that draft in. What do we make of the Swain into the Renekton?
So I think it's a good matchup in the lane because you're able to get good push. The only thing you have to be careful about is your spacing, because you don't really have a way to immediately stop Renekton if he does slice forward, and then you end up with the CC for Elyoya coming in. Also, the fact that you are going to end up going relatively squishy in the early stages, because you are going like Liandry's, Zhonya's, then you're going tank, so it takes a while before you really get that big burst of tankiness. So I think coming into team fights, I think Hans and Mikyx are going to have their work cut out for them to a certain extent. Like, there's a lot of Renekton and Sejuani that would love to get into Kog'Maw, but the amount of stuff that can actually block it, I'm a little bit more curious about. It feels like it's just the Braum or the Rell trying to see if you can try and keep them safe.
A lot of execution to be pulled off on the side of G2. The last time we saw a Swain in the top lane was in 2020. Whipper was playing it for Fnatic. It has been 3 long years. Shenanigans continue as we hit the rift for Game 3 between G2 and Mad. Welcome to Summoner's Rift. G2 5-man stacking this bottom lane. Pushing forward, see if they can find a target. Coming into this game, it's just a full reset. Game 1, G2 got a stomping win. Game 2, Mad Lions punished G2 to find a stomp themselves. I mean, Caedrel, now you just got to shake off those previous games and come into this one fresh.
Yeah, it's all about a reset. How will G2 perform? Will they make those clumsy mistakes that we saw Mad Lions easily punished? Trying to go for a level 1 here with the Braum, but it's going to be warded off in the river by Carzzy. Sweeper's going to check that, so that's a nice little extra bit of gold. No movement from the top jungle to ward the enemy top side. I feel like Swain will be fun to keep an eye on. Very vulnerable to the Sejuani Renekton early, but will get progressively tankier, and I feel like sometimes deceptively tanky. I feel like there's a few champions in League which are deceptively tanky. Swain is one of them. I think Diana is another one that just comes to mind. But I expect, looking at his builds in solo queue on my screen here, it's going to be something like Rylai's into Liandry's for the Swain, and then maybe something like the Spirit Visage.
Yeah, I think it's the biggest worry for me is just like, you're up against an Aphelios and an Azir, and while you can be deceptively tanky, you're still not going to put out as much as, say, like an Ornn or like a true tank in that top side. And I think that's really what G2 require from BrokenBlade. So I think if BB starts to get focused down here in the early stages by Mad Lions and he's not able to get those items, suddenly the front line that you need from G2 just isn't quite there.
Yeah, they really need him to buy enough time for this Kog'Maw to melt through those HP bars once we get to that stage of the game. But now, though, BrokenBlade can go toe-to-toe. Chasy, Hans, Summer, and Mikyx already pushing forward. And he gets chunked down. 3 stacks from that passive. And look in the minimap as well. Yike invading onto Elyoya, challenging him on the Gromp. No movement from the bottom lanes yet. Yike is going down to 210, continuing to fight. And Hilly's making his way
Yike, though, so he wants to reset
the jungle. Level 1 for Hilly. Got that heal as well. Gromp has reset. Crash down from Yike. Hunt's chipped away at Carzzy's HP bar. Trade continues. G2 getting some level of control in this bottom lane.
Definitely are. Don't know if they can look for a dive, though. Q is going to land. It's going to level up to level 2. A lot of chunk damage, but this is an adaptation from Game 1. Yike wanted to do the Maokai clear, 3 camps into bot, and then invade the blue buff. This time around, Yike rather saw the Game 1 and said to himself, well, Yoya's probably going to do some kind of buff to buff or try to mark off his bot side before I can invade it and push him out. So I'll do red into his bot side this time around with bot push with the Braum. So good adaptation from Yike, looking at Game 1 to make sure that he can really punish the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, you can see as well, immediately Elyoya has to go up towards top side, but take his red. And
stun there onto Hans, holding our breath. I think they're still lingering in the jungle there, Dagda.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to really. Well, actually, maybe they will go.
Maybe they will go
honestly,
for dive,
Carzzy's been taking a lot of damage here.
All right, so flashes and heals still available here in this bottom lane. Yike's level 3, double buffs. Let's try find that crash down. Hilly will bomb and stun up Hansama for now. Not going to be able to find the Q. Flashes away. Carzzy and Hilly staying alive for now. Rooted in place.
Oh, it's a nightmare.
Needs one more shot. There's a heal. They find the kill, but immediately lose 2.
The double bomb from Hilly was actually so clutch. It cleared out the majority of the waves, so G2 couldn't get themselves in a position to follow up properly on the dive. They had to rush it, and it came back to bite them.
Did Yike miss the Q? Was it flashed away as well?
No, he missed it, and then the W, I think, was flashed away from. So a lot of things were a bit butchered there when it comes to the actual dive. We'll take a look at it again, but you're right. Double bomb onto the back line. Managed to slow down the wave from coming in. There's the heal. And Yike misses the Q. Carzzy flashes the W. Yike's the one tanking. He flashes out and drops, but the ignite then ticks, so Mikyx gets aggro. He dies. Hansama auto-attacks again, realizes he's going to get hit by the tower in that range, so he has to flash forward to get the next one in. because he's dead anyway. So he has to go for the 1-for-1, but the CC layering just wasn't there.
Mad Lions punishing. They get themselves 2 quick kills. Similar to the previous game. It's now Mikyx and Caps toe-to-toe with Nisqy as well as Hylissang.
I think it's funny. Look at the top side vision that Chasy has. He has a line of wards in the river, all the way up from the middle part of the river. 3 red wards. One of them the scuttle, and Yike, we'll see if he gets spotted on them. It's going to go for blue buff into Grump, and big stacking wave bot for Mad Lions. Do they want to fence themselves some kind of dive? Hilly will get rid of the river ward. They know Yike should be on the top side, but Yoya's a bit behind. Since that level 1, level 2 invade, needs to make sure he catches up.
Yeah, he's just going to move back up towards this top side. I wasn't sure as well, because you can see Nisqy actually had push there in mid lane, so maybe there's an opportunity, but they're just going to use that to try and get some deep wards. And as well, with Elyoya moving back up towards top side, Cap's going to respond in kind, just making sure they can spot out where Elyoya is, because BrokenBlade hasn't got that push in fully in that top side yet. And you can see Chasy pressing pretty hard to try and keep that bounced off his tower.
Yeah, no real support for either top laner yet. Pretty even as far as that farm is concerned. The fact that Carzzy got those kills, he's picked himself up the cull. Both bot laners have got those Berserker's Greaves, and Elyoya snuck his way into the alcove. I don't think he's been spotted as of yet. The minion wave has been trimmed down quite a lot. Let's step forward, waiting to see whether or not the target presents itself. So much CC to combine the Sejuani and the Zilean. No flash for Hansama either.
Oh, Yike.
Here comes Yike to that middle lane, forces the flash out of Nisqy, so at least that's a small win. Elyoya is still lingering in this bottom lane, will finally push forward. Hylissang, in fact, takes so much damage underneath the tower, below 100. One lost onto and Hansama.
No, Yoya's dead.
What was that? 2 quick kills. At least get one in reply, but that was awful.
What the hell are these dives? Stop diving each other. G2 threw it away, now Mad Lions counter throw it. Shutdown goes over to Mikyx, yeah, but Hans has 3 kills on the Kog'Maw.
So confused. I am so confused. Hylissang just gets destroyed, stepping into the tower.
Where's Hilly going? He wants to double bomb the Kog'Maw, but
yeah,
he doesn't even press it, and then he kind of dies. As he presses it, Yoya flash Qs and misses. Then he's stunned underneath the tower because of the Braum passive. Then Carzzy's tanking up a ramped up tower. 2 shots will kill him. Yeah, Europeans, we love our dives.
We do indeed. We'll figure out why that happened in a moment or two, and all of a sudden Chasy's looking for the solo onto BrokenBlade, holding on to that flash, waiting for the Demonic Ascension to pop. Chasy's continuing to force BB back on the minimap. Elyoya is making his way to this top lane. Look at this, 15 CS advantage, got a plate already. Renekton is taking control of this top lane.
Yeah, you can see Elyoya just making sure that Chasy can clear out this wave as well, so the next wave is going to hit that tower. BrokenBlade does have TP to come back up into this top lane though, so should be able to at least catch something, but yeah, I don't know, like this is such a weird setup in this early stages.
It really is. Just quick note, I love the fact Chasy's already picked up that Executioner's Calling only very early on, and both of those tower dives bot lane, conceptually okay, execution not good at all, and both bot lane is sitting at 3 kills already.
You go for a dive like that, you're like, I'm gonna get all this gold. You're like, I'm Scrooge McDuck, and then you come out looking like Donald Duck instead. Like, it was an absolute disaster on that bottom side. But honestly, I think, yeah, Mad Lions just trying to over-aggress. They saw the fact that you had Yike in the mid lane, so like, cool, we can go for it. But 3 kills now onto this Kog'Maw. Hansama's in a great little spot.
Mikyx takes a little bit of damage. Both bot lanes have got level 6. Continuing to trade. Dead even on that farm. Dead even on gold overall. And both teams now just really need to kind of slow things down just a little bit. Game 2, a lot of execution errors.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just one of those things where it's like the whole series, we're like, who do we praise? Do we praise G2 for stomping? Do we praise Mad Lions for punishing mistakes? Do we criticize G2 for making mistakes? And it's, again, 2 dives. What do we say? You know, it's just, these dives are just so messy. And kills on either side. 80 carries on 2 separated in terms of gold. BB is now stabilized top a little bit, having that TP after the bad trade. Bot lane's been trading really aggressively from G2, but of course their jungler's top side. Herald's up, we'll see if Yike wants to start it.
Seems to be the case for now, Caedrel. Stepping into that pit. Chasy was pushed backwards. He's got the dominance in a few seconds' time. Mad Lions now slowly making their way up. Elyoya will step into that river. There's no real commitment from either side just yet. It's down to 3,000. It's going to be a jungler battle 1-on-1, and it looks to me like Mad may be able to respond first. You can see there Nisqy's inside the river. Chasy can come down from the north, and Yike may have just gift-wrapped this one. Down to 600.
Ready for the eye.
All of a sudden, 3 members apiece. Yike will pick it up. Manages to get the Magnet Storm down. Here comes BrokenBlade. Pulls Mad Lions towards him. The Ascension is demonic. Nisqy slides in for at least one in reply. Caps flashes over the Emperor's Divide. Looking for the heal, but he's not going to be able to do it. The Golden Meat does so much work. alive.
Just Renekton things in that one. Mad lines. It looks an absolute disaster for them from the get-go. You get Chasy linking up in the with Elyoya, where they get immediately crashed down on. But just the healing that this Renekton has is so obnoxious in the early stages.
How did Chasy live there? I mean, that was a really awkward series of events because Yike gets the Herald, and as he's picking up the buff, you'll see, watch Elyoya and Chasy here as the Herald goes down. They just kind of stand there, watch. And then they just get engaged on it. It looks, well, that's over, isn't it? Double pull back into the Magna Storm, into the double stun. Where's the damage, though? Caps can't get the kill onto Chasy. He looks for Elyoya, gets him, uses the ult and invests it into him, and Nisqy just pouring out damage. And now Chasy looks low, so Caps dashes forwards, flashes over the knockback from Nisqy, but the Q comes back up with the Iron Spike Whip, manages to get the kill. Triumph comes in again, and then Yike has no damage left.
Yeah, I mean, the fact you get the Ultimate Fury coming through consistently there as well to make sure he's getting those empowered Qs for the healing is just nuts. And now BB in a lot of trouble in what was supposed to be a counter matchup for him. I mean, 10 CS down, you're getting kills across this Renekton as well. It's not looking so hot anymore.
It really isn't. Fortunately for G2, they did pick up that Rift Herald. Got themselves a couple plates here in this middle lane for Caps, who is currently even with Nisqy. But in terms of these skirmishes, again, balancing on a knife's edge. I wonder where Yike is going to invest this Rift Herald, because G2 definitely in a little bit of threat, a little bit of trouble. Chasy's Renekton in the previous game was fantastic. He got an advantage early, and Mad Lions were able to snowball that, punishing G2 over and over to eventually pick up that win. Can they do that again? That's what they're going to be looking for. Right now, though, look at this mini-map as Yike making his way towards that top lane, or at least towards Mad Lions jungle.
Yeah, just trying to see what they can try and cover here. I think watching down towards this bot side is going to be super interesting, because I think as Hilly is now hit level 6, it becomes way more... there's way more opportunities now for him to start trying to roam around the map, play hyper aggressive with guys like Elyoya and Nisqy having that ult available. Maybe even looking for things like the dragon on this bottom side of the map as well, because if you're able to get Chasy, who has the TP advantage down to that fight, plus having Hilly's ult, it just becomes so difficult for G2 to really contest it.
You saw quickly Hylissang just flew across the river there, using that time warp. If Caps had stuck around, didn't have that ward, could have been a target. Look at the map. 3 members of Mad Lions around mid lane. Yike again just kind of shadowing top for now. He was making his way up there. I don't think they're going to make any moves. And in terms of like sort of the laning phases and the advantage, slower game, one of the slower that we've seen throughout the series. Neither team with a significant advantage.
Yep.
No towers are falling yet either. No dragon's been secured either.
Yeah, I think Hansama wants to take a base to get his Rage Blade. And then I think G2 can start to play a little bit more crazy on this bottom side. 10 kills in 12 minutes, but it, yeah, I agree. It's slow in the sense that no one's really found a big lead. There's the TP from Chasy you were talking about.
Hylissang's going to flash away. And Summer's in a little bit of trouble. Miky's going to be the next target. Elyoya's coming through the jungle as well. So is Nisqy. Initial Prison must find its target, waiting to throw it out. Because just yet finally catches out onto Mikyx. The Emperor's Divine is flashed over from Hansama. Mikyx will be the sacrificial support. While that is happening, both top and mid, plates are being secured by G2.
This is actually so worth for G2. With Hansama surviving with some fancy footwork, they're going to get the mid lane tower down. They get plates onto BrokenBlade in the top side. You will end up losing Dragon, but honestly, the amount of gold G2 have just picked up off the back more than equals the kill onto Mikyx.
It really does. How many playthings does Carzzy get on the spot side? I saw he had green, blue, but yeah, he gets towards the white. Got a couple playthings under his belt. 1.2k gold leads to Aphelios now, but that was a game of chicken between Nisqy and Hansama. Nisqy is guessing that Hansama will flash when he sees animations come out of the Azir, but Hansama keeps cool. And it looks quite funny for Nisqy. You know, he just flashes back over the wall when Hansama doesn't get the pushback. So Drake's still up.
So they didn't get the tower, they didn't get the Drake. Gold is still dead even, but the mid tower has dropped. Fortunately for Mad Lions, that Azir can just bring up the Sun Disc. And it actually looks like G2, maybe the first one onto this Dragon. So Dagda, potential advantage growing even more. Let's not forget the fact that Chasy has got himself a couple plates here too, so have to keep a close eye on both these itemizations as well as the total gold.
Yeah, Mad are just trying to see if they can collect their own jungle camps at the moment. They know that BrokenBlade has the TP advantage, so more than likely can't really contest for this, because yeah, you'll lose the tower on top side, but you're pretty happy if you end up winning a big old team fight. So at the moment, Mad Lions going to just give this up, back away, and make sure they can just keep on farming.
G2 not going to be challenged for this one. Keep your eyes on Elyoya. No ultimate available for a little while. Still on cooldown. But again, investing time, investing resources into this bottom lane. Mikyx enhanced, there's no flash available. The stun connects onto that Kog'Maw. Here comes Yike as well. All of a sudden, the knock-up is landing onto Elyoya. Yike will find that piercing strike.
The revive.
Chrono Shift comes out to Carzzy. Red, white, flashes for the fight. He's got the first, he's looking for the second, but the Unbreakable is blocking so much of Carzzy's damage. Mikyx and Yike run for their lives. Caps is trying to get another one back, but Elyoya's a tonky man for now. Caps is going to fall.
The bomb's missed it.
All that needed. The
What's
bombs
going on?
Connect. Finally taken down by the Sand Soldiers, and Mikyx will be the next to fall. Mad Lions dominating the bottom lane.
Successful dive!
The dive worked, you're right. It's a 4v4 in the bot side. Mad Lions win. BrokenBlade solo killed Chasy, diving him underneath the tier 1. Carzzy dished out so much damage. The Braum shield blocked a lot of that damage. The bombs missed because Nisqy wanted the kills.
Berlin, are you not entertained? What?
That is a word for it.
Are these dives? So while that fight was going on, we didn't catch a glimpse of this
Maybe
one.
dives him, I think. He just full-on commits because it looked like the Renekton was dead underneath the tower. So Chasy's just not got the damage to get the Swain down, and the Rell is just slowing Chasy up way too much that BB can flash in and get the finisher. Let's get a replay of that bot 4v4 because what goes on here? Carzzy has the red whites. Elyoya looks like he's in trouble, but G2 invest. The Braum ultimate to get the kill. In comes the ultimate from the Zilean, and Carzzy gets a lot of chakrams.
Yeah, the fact he gets the ultimate there gets him so much.
Well,
Elyoya found Mikyx though.
We can't watch it because there's another fight happening.
Oh, he got
He's getting
interrupted.
Body block, pulled backwards, and he will fall. The 11th kill for Mad, 17th of the game. A minor 1,500 gold lead here for Mad Lions. I mean, Dagda, the way that it played out, Mikyx blocked a lot of damage, but ultimately Mad, they committed more resources. They were first to respond, and they finally pulled off the dive.
They actually managed to get a successful dive and a bunch of kills onto Nisqy as well, which is going to give him a lot more control up against Caps. You're now getting the top lane tower down where BrokenBlade TP right behind him.
All right, look at the minimap though. There's resources for both sides. BrokenBlade's using that demonic ascension. Looking for the demon flare. Yike is now fighting this
Chasy
Herald.
can't move.
Teleported to the top lane. Chasy is just being burned alive. There is nothing that he can do. Yike is still on that Herald, and Mad have conceded, so they've lost Chasy. And they are trying to take down this mid tower, and they will successfully do so. Nisqy's pushing the bottom lane, so a lot of cross-map objectives being challenged here.
And this is the thing, remember what we talked about is like, for a lot of what Mad want to do is front-to-back team fights. And look, Chasy's not having the best of times now at the moment against BrokenBlade, but when you get to the later fights, 5 kills onto Carzzy, 4 kills onto Nisqy, already going to be working his way up with a 10 stack on that Dark Seal as well. Like, you're in a decent position here as Mad Lions, 3k up. Like, yes, G2 are making some plays, but honestly, coming into just front-to-back brawls, I'm giving it to Mad here.
That 3k gold advantage is all in Carzzy's hands. Plus 2.8k. 2 items completed already. And he's on Aphelios as well. So he has all the damage needed.
And he has a Zilean next to him, so he can play as psychotic as he wants in some of these fights, playing frontline AD carry at times. Sometimes when you play Jinx Zilean, for example, not as common these days, but you can speed up the Jinx and she can just play frontline, damage them, dare them to go in, play confident with movement, and always have the ultimate for a revival. Here comes the overload on the side lane. Chasy already used the first E, but the wave's already down. Gonna look to commit to the tower here is G2 to get the 3rd outer tower of the game.
The tower is secured. A couple of members moving through the river, and it's still a minute and 10 seconds before the dragon. And Mad Lions, they're using that time warp, using that speed buff. The prison comes out and manages to connect onto BB. He throws down the ult himself, and Mikyx steps forward, waiting for the fissure. Here comes Nisqy to boot. Nisqy's knocked up into the air. The target, however, is Elyoya. Hunsummer's joining the fray, and Mikyx's blocking as much as he can with that Unbreakable. You keep your eyes on Carzzy. As long as he's healthy, it's going to be tough.
Why are Mad collapsing like that without Carzzy? They're full on engaging without the Aphelios. Maybe they can re-engage here if G2 stays. Chasy's dead.
The target is Chasy. He's getting jumped on and taken out. The ultimate was committed there from Yike. Remembers the Mad running backwards. The stun will connect. And this time around, G2, they split up. They find their target. They got to be a little bit careful here because Yike is now alone inside the jungle. Mad Lions are not going to chase onto him, however, and 20 seconds to go for the dragon. G2 starting to back away.
Yeah, G2 need to get a reset in so they can go back into this. Leandri's Torment just completed there for BB as well. I mean, it's going to be great, but this is so bizarre here from
Look
Mad.
at the minimap. Look where Aphelios is.
Yeah,
Nisqy
there's no damage.
TP's in, yes, but they've already used their CC engage. Mikyx here to block. Both AD carries aren't there. And he talks about the gold lead, Trevor. It was all on the Aphelios. This is an even 4v4, and you've committed engage before any of your carries are there in terms of Nisqy. Hilly's on in range for the revival, so it's a little bit too split up for Mad Lions. G2 can easily punish.
But it's even just from the perspective of, like, whatever about a gold lead, it's like, where the hell is your damage supposed to come from that one? It's like a Renekton who's already, we've shown, can't go 1-to-1 against BrokenBlade, and Elyoya is only just there to provide CC, so really strange things coming through here. Mad Lions, though, will be able to turn over towards the Dragon, but again, G2, they're just playing for gold. They're like, hey, look, if we can get these towers, close the gold lead, we're going to be in a better spot.
G2.
The previous teamfight as well exemplified the surprising tankiness of that Swain. He's been able to drain tank through everything. And the second Dragon of the game secured there. One apiece for Mad and G2. With the tower secured, that 1,000 gold lead feels fairly insignificant. I think it's going to be a matter of protect the present. You need to keep Carzzy alive. You need to make sure he's with Mad Lions whenever these engages are happening. And then maybe you can burn through that Swain and Rell front line.
I think once you get this Bloodthirster completed for Carzzy, though, he's like all set to go. He got the speed ups, he got the revive. You're going to be dealing a ton of damage, especially if you have the red, white, and the healing to boot as well. It feels like it's going to be very, very difficult to keep tabs on that, especially when you look across the hand Sama, right? He has Agwinsus. He still wants to get up towards his like Blade of the Rune King, get a third item, even like a Ruinous Hurricane as well in his back pocket. Like, you need a lot for this Kog'Maw to get rolling, but the goal just hasn't been there for him.
Hasn't. He's sitting on 2,000. He's to back, and Mad Lions starting to move towards the Braum, setting up some vision.
Mikyx?
Carzzy gets some damage down onto Mikyx. Here comes BrokenBlade. Blocked off by the Zilean bombs. Carzzy's holding onto the Gale Force and the Flash. Moonlight Vigil is out. Turns his focus. Flashes away from BrokenBlade. Trying to burn through him. The damage from Swain is not enough just yet. Finally, the Chrono Shift comes down from Hilly. He's going to bring Carzzy back.
BrokenBlade's doing so much work.
BrokenBlade! The demon is unleashed. Destroying Mad Lions nearly single-handedly.
G2 breathing the biggest sigh of relief. BrokenBlade 1 versus 4's the entire backline. Caps manages to deal with Nisqy as he chases down Hansama. And this all starts with the bot lane of G2 just taking so much damage. Mikyx falling.
Yeah, I mean, Carzzy does a really good job here in getting Mikyx into a position where he goes low, gets the damage down. But because of everyone jumping in onto him here, this is where it starts to go wrong for Carzzy.
Nisqy flashes over, gets Hansama, but uses the ult, then Caps jumps in. But then it's BrokenBlade 1v4 in the stopwatch, just draining all the health from these members of Mad who try to finish off. Yike pulls them all in, pops the W, gets the Qs off, and then Caps kites away from Chasy, flashes to get the kill. The turn from the solo lanes of G2 there to turn that entire fight around was exceptional. 7,500 from BrokenBlade, who's having an amazing series.
Yeah, you can see the problem. If you don't have Nisqy and you don't have Carzzy, there is not enough damage on the rest of your team to actually take down the bird. So it has to be for Mad Lions, making sure you're protecting Carzzy and Nisqy. Now, Carzzy, I think, played fantastically in that fight. We even managing to dodge away from that final engage. But if you just don't have any way to get people off of him when you come out of that stasis, he's going to go down, and then there's just nothing left to do with BrokenBlade.
How the hell do you kill him? That's the question. That's what Mad Lions have to figure out.
You know, sometimes we want League of Legends to be clean and precise and the teams to be fighting tooth and nail, but this is just a bar brawl, isn't it? Everyone's just throwing themselves into these mid lane fights. Not even anything to fight over. Mikyx just wanted a bush. And now he wants another bush, and Mad Lions are thinking about looking for an engage, but Nisqy has the TP ready if he needs to join. There's Renan's Hurricane you were talking about onto Hansama. Bloodthirster now ready for Caps, who's found his way into this game. Almost 2,500 gold lead for the Tristana, so they've got side lane push here, G2. The solo lanes are ahead.
I mean, the fact you have that much gold on the Tristana is insane. I mean, you're thinking 5-1 and 2 on the opposite side, but Caps are doing a great job of taking down those side lane turrets, as he's saying, getting that gold, and now G2, they see Nisqy on bot side, they start up the Baron. I
mean, I think Caps also a recipient of a couple of shutdowns and the triple kill in the previous fight. Accelerated him a huge amount. A couple of shots were fired onto Baron, but it's not going to bait out in teleports just yet. G2 now looking for the fight. They're running for his life. Hilly backing away. No flash for Carzzy. Keep your eyes on that. Nisqy has not pulled the trigger on that teleport yet.
They're going to force Baron, aren't they?
Feels that way, Caedrel.
Try and get Nisqy's TP. See if Nisqy wants to join.
Elyoya making his way towards the pit. And movement speed from Zilean helping out. Teleport's still not being committed. Finally is. Yike is inside the pit alone. G2 now turning, trying to find a target to burn. On the front line is BrokenBlade, and Yike finds the stun. But Carzzy's got a lot of damage to reply. Chasy's taken out. BrokenBlade takes out. Carzzy now all of a sudden with him running for his life. There's no damage to follow it up. It's all on G2. They've got themselves the advantage. 2 for 1. And Nisqy's looking for the Empress to find. Not going to be able to find the target just yet. He's locked in place. The stun was beautiful. Caps, Rocket jumps forward. Looking for Hylissang, out of mana. He's got no flash. One lost, he gets him to safety, but that stun was beautiful.
G2's team fighting coming back again, taking down Mad Lions. The ultimate from Hylissang had been burnt on Chasy to keep him alive, so when Carzzy got caught, there was nothing to save him.
They have no smite. Elyoya's around, the bomb can give vision, so someone's gonna have to do damage over this well. There goes Caps.
Well, Caps hops over, will find himself. The kill actually was Hansama that got the secure. Elyoya's being forced away. Baron will be secured, and BB again taking over the fight, finding that key target.
Yeah, he got the pull onto Carzzy with no flash. The Zilean ult was already down, so we'll see it here again because everyone focuses down Chasy, and Chasy dying and being revived. In that window, Mad Lions need to push G2 away, and Carzzy tries his best onto Yike. Manages to get really, really low HP with the ultimate, but it's here. Watch BrokenBlade with this E. Just on the back half of killing, the Renekton pulls him in, and I think that's the team fight winning play there for G2. Nisqy tries to save the team fight, but gets stunned up.
And it would have been so close as well. I mean, if you end up getting the green gun gone, red-white starts to come out from Carzzy, he's able to opt in towards the red Q as well. Like, he's popping off in that fight. The fact that you end up in a position where you're not able to do much means a lot. Now G2 setting up in front of the Dragon. It's already been started. Mad Lions are backing away.
Yeah, they don't want this fight right now, down 3,000 gold, and I think that advantage for Caps, plus 3k himself, I think the important one for me as well, that extended range on that Tristana, keep himself a little bit backed away, a little further from the dive buddies of that Renekton and Sejuani. And G2, they've got Baron, they've got the second Dragon, starting to push both middle and this bottom lane. Teleports available for both of the solo laners as well, so options available to them. BrokenBlade on the front line, gets stunned up, the ult is available, throws it down, man on the retreat, double stun is good. Prevents any follow-up, but nobody dies. However, in the mid lane, Cap's able to take out tower.
They got the bot wave, but now they're losing mid inhibitor, so they need to retreat and come back towards this tower, and then they're going to lose the bot tower anyway when this wave comes in, you have to imagine. Maybe Carzzy can clear it out with his blue gun as Caps runs towards the top side, and BrokenBlade has to take a base, so they've just traded a lot of engage for 2 towers. Really want to defend this bot tier 2.
Yeah, I think they were trying to see if they could utilize the fact that they had this ward just in the back of their pit, but that's now gone. That's taken out. They could TP in behind if they could get the chase on towards G2, but it's not really in a great position. Now Mad going in blind here.
G2 are hunting.
They're
just
around.
as the vision was turned off, multiple members looking for the flank. Mikyx's got his ultimate on cooldown, not available. Yike stepping forward. Magnet Storm is up. Follow Carzzy. Flash is available for him, and Yike not going to be able to hold anybody in place. Nisqy's now joined the fray, and I think Mad Lions, they've managed to survive for now. Nisqy staring into Yike. Magnet Storm was already used. Nisqy's right behind multiple members, but what is the plan? The tower has fallen. They'll find themselves a kill, but they will lose that tower, and G2 on the retreats.
And now G2 just going to be caught out. Elyoya wants to go right the way in behind. They're going to try and reset Hilly. That's a big stun if you can do it.
Hilly's the target, forced to flash over the wall. Keep your eyes on the minimap. Mad Lions are trying to corral them, trying to group them up.
They could put a ward down for a Renekton TP if they want, but they're gone.
No, empowered recall. Everybody
Yeah.
gets out alive. G2 escape. They lose just that one.
Yeah, I mean, Nisqy was pushing mid though, so I don't know if that was really a fight that they wanted to take in that. It still would have been a 4 versus 4, and with Mad coming in on multiple different angles, it may not have been the best of opportunities.
Hexgate to fight. Hexgate to fight. Come on. No, okay, not this time around.
Not this time around.
Well, you can see on the bottom of
They were
your
thinking
screen.
about it.
By the way, super quick, obviously both of these teams going to Montpellier next week. The loser plays Fnatic on Saturday. Quick reminder to everybody that there will be 1 hour-long ready checks both of those days. And for everybody watching the EMEA Masters, that will be played on Friday as well, live in the venue. So got great games coming up. Right now, though, G2, they've taken control. They've managed to get this gold lead. They've got control of the Rift. And it's starting to feel like they are strangling Mad out of this game.
And I also just want to say, I think that this 2.4k gold lead on Aphelios is fake. As much as he is 2.4k gold up, these items that I'm looking at, I think Kog'Maw is just as strong at this point. Maybe when he finishes the Lord Dominic's, the Aphelios will be able to do a lot. But with Kog'Maw and the draft around him, with things like the Braum and the Rell, up against things like Renekton, Sejuani, he's just going to melt through them with that 3-item spike.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you got to deal with BrokenBlade, Hansama as well, it just feels like for Mad, it's going to be so difficult now. G2 as well, trying to see if they can coax Mad Lions out into their own jungle and maybe pick Hilly here.
Waiting to see. I mean, G2 have been trying to create opportunities. Carzzy will use that Gale Force, just hop away to safety. Nisqy once again waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
Needs to be very, very careful. And G2, they've just pushed all the way to the inhibitor turrets.
Yeah, that Gale Force now has 2 minutes cooldown, so that's a long one. Mikyx ult, look at the left hand to your screen, you see Mikyx ult already almost up, so I don't think he minds using that for the Gale Force.
Follow Yike. Flash and Magnastorm is there. 5v5 in the front line. BrokenBlade caught out, and Mikyx will jump in to save the day. BrokenBlade's held on to that ult though, so if the fight breaks out, he can just regen up.
Yeah, Merc Thread's doing work there. You can see how quickly he's able to get out of it. Doesn't have to worry about popping the ult. He's just able to walk away with Mikyx supporting him. So for G2, they kind of got what they wanted. They got to shove in all the waves, make sure that Mad are going to be stuck in their own base. And now you got Dragon in a minute, Baron in a minute, and Mad just haven't really got position on the map to to contest both objectives. So you're either going to get a third Dragon come through for G2, or more than likely just find a fight in those close corridors in the top side of jungle, Mad.
G2 are ahead, but I still think Mad have a really good chance with the Azir Aphelios. They're getting to some really huge items. It's a shame Nisqy won't be able to get a Void Staff for the next fight because, you know, BrokenBlade's building towards that Spirit Visage. They've got a little bit of healing reduction with the Putrefier and the Executioners on Chasy, but yeah, I think if they can get uptime, if a Sejuani ult hits with a double bomb onto the Zilean, as much as he has tenacity, and Carzzy and Nisqy can hit for a couple of seconds, they can really shred through him. So G2 needs to be careful to avoid some of these skill shots.
I think the best thing for G2 is trying to find fights onto Mad before they can really get positioned in River like this, but Mad actually doing a good job of now controlling it, because if you can try and get BrokenBlade into a choke point, it becomes very hard for Mad to try and play through him with things like the Sejuani and the Renekton, and Nisqy won't really be able to do much damage because there's going to be a Zhonya's onto the BrokenBlade.
Carzzy's Gale Force is almost up. He really wants to play with that Gale Force. Blue and red.
You can feel the tension, yeah. Mad Lion's trying to force G2's hand. Baiting around the Baron. A couple wards there just behind them and stepping forward. Mikyx committed the flash and Carzzy's already running for his life. Prisoners down, here comes Yike. Magnetstorm has been dropped. Carzzy drops on the right visual. Not enough to kill Hunt Summer. However, Chasy's been dropped. Nisqy's the next target. Multiple members of G2 chasing him. Caps finds the double kill. He's got that W available if he wants to continue the chase. Looking to push Carzzy and Elyoya away. Nisqy running for his life. And Caps is inside the base, uncontested and alone.
Caps managed to get the kill onto Chasy and then leaping into the backline again to cause so many issues for Mad. Now Nisqy, he's out of the equation.
3 members running him down. Emperor's Divide buys time. The sliding glide to safety. Re-engage from Elyoya. Carzzy goes low, drop down. Cap stays alive. Nisqy still leading G2 on a wild goose chase. Will finally be taken down in a moment or two as Yike and BrokenBlade push forward. Caps solo killing the Nexus turrets. 7-2 and 7. 5,000 gold in the lead. And G2 will take down Mad Lions. After a couple more kills, a few more shots onto the Nexus. And G2 will be 1 win away from the season finals.
Caps was an absolute raid boss in that last fight. Just one-shotted and tore through everyone that was in range. And then just pressured the base so hard, Nisqy couldn't get the reset off. That was a very back-and-forth game from both sides. Exciting to watch. I mean, 39 kills, 31 minutes. Bit of a bloodbath. That's what we wanted.
Yeah, it took a little bit of time for the Swain to get going, but once it did, Mad Lions weren't able to deal with them at all. And then it opened up positioning for guys like Caps, for Hunt Summer as well in these fights to just pop the hell off. So G2 once more, they're cooking, but it seems to be coming out all right.
After the first 10 minutes, I was not very sold on that Swain, but every single skirmish after 1 or 2 items, BrokenBlade completely dominated.
Yeah, it just felt like once you got the Rylays, it was impossible for Chasy to play.
Yeah.
Because they popped the ultimate and there's just nowhere for the Renekton to go.
I hear that the Analysts desk is ready, so we're going to head over to them to break down that game. In a second.
Maybe.
No, maybe so.
We're ready. Let's get the draft up. A very back and forth game. Indeed, it didn't look like G2 was going to bring this to match point, especially not after the first 10 minutes. But you were talking about the Renekton test, which I was not familiar with in terms of like picking your top lane champion.
Yeah, so back in the day, there was this, can it top lane? And the test was just, can it lane against Renekton? If it could lane against and survive an all-in against Renekton, you are allowed to play the pick top lane. If it could not survive the Renekton all-in, then you shouldn't play top lane. Initially, it looked like the Swain failed the Renekton test.
It did.
And then he got Rylais, and then it didn't matter anymore.
Yeah, but it's technically failed lane, so
Look,
This game was not supposed to happen?
It failed the Renekton test, but it won the 1 versus 5 test.
Okay, yeah,
in that
fair
one
enough.
team fight in
But
mid
won
lane.
the
That was
ball.
insane. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it ramp up. Once he got the Rayla, it was. I was actually sitting back. Yeah, it was like a bye. It was literally a bye-bye. Renekton did not seem like he was having a great time after that because he just can't move. But the highlight of the Swain pick is just this mid fight right here, because I feel like Carzzy is popping off really, really hard in this fight, and then the Swain comes in. And I was about to say that, you know, Matt is just winning this fight super hard, but let's look at the.
Well, there's no
Swain
damage,
fight.
right? Because Carzzy ends up going into the revive. Meanwhile, Nisqy was over on the other side going for an assassination and then gets nuked by Cap. So there's actually nothing to kill BrokenBlade. The Zilean revive doesn't matter in this teamfight situation because nothing can actually get the Swain off of that Aphelios. He does 7.5 thousand damage. Like, yes, Carzzy played a really good fight, but that just goes to show, like, if Nisqy isn't involved in the team fight and the Zilean ult has to be used on Carzzy, I don't think that's ever a winning fight.
And I think G2 leveraged this Swain pick very, very well, because in mid-game is the time where he spikes the most, had this 2-item spike. He is near unkillable, and it was kind of like a bridge for this mid-game to see the Tristana, because for me Tristana was the real hero as we got into the later stages of this game, because I think Caps was up maybe 4,000 gold at some point, and then...
Yeah, towards the end there.
And that's only because the Swain was so dominant in the mid-game that he could help everyone and help Caps the most to buy him as much time as possible to get to this stage where he's just 1v5ing fights with the space that the Swain brings.
I think before that fight, Caps was up like 500 gold, then gets the big shutdown to Nisqy, and then he's up 2.2k after that, and then he rolls over.
Just zooming in on Carzzy doing this, even though they lost the game.
He was insane, though. I genuinely
he was.
I genuinely feel like Carzzy in this series has just been probably the most consistent member in terms of the playstyle we've seen so far from them.
But the bot lane. We need to talk about the bot lane. I mean, we're sending both these teams to Worlds, guys.
And we're happy about it.
We're good.
Don't worry about it.
Let's take a look at it.
We just really are good at outplaying when we're being tower dove, is the moral of the story.
Listen, Carzzy and Summer, pace, you're not ready for them. That's all I'm saying.
True.
You know,
They're definitely not ready.
we live this, okay? They're just quickly going to experience it and not know what's hitting them.
Look, all those international teams, they're lucky that Worlds isn't happening in Europe because our turrets are built different, right? They just do more damage, clearly.
For me, it's just funny because I look at both of these bot lanes and they're like, oh, we want to scale into the game. We have Braum on one side, is good, you know, it's great. And then we have Zilean on the other side, and then everyone's like, let's dive.
We got it, let's go.
We have a wave, our jungler's here. Send it, boys, we have to. And then it was really funny because G2 fails the dive, and then Matt is like, oh, I guess it's our turn to fail a dive.
Yeah, this is very
That's a gold
G2
graph.
versus Mad gold graph, indeed. It's weird because, I mean, Caedrel put it into words well. You have both teams doing good things. You have both teams doing a lot of bad things, but it still feels close, but because of some games and how they've ended, it doesn't. I don't know what reality is anymore.
I don't know.
Are they good?
No.
Any of these teams?
It's good, it's bad, it's just like heavy fighting, because I feel like even when we look back to sort of like modern era G2, which was like 2019 roughly, right? Like whenever they were playing against sort of like the second best team, like Fnatic back then or Mad Lions in more recent years, I felt like the games in best of fives almost always played out that way. It was like super scrappy, both sides are like hard looking for fights, and the gold would be like very volatile. So I don't know, it's sometimes hard to make sense of.
To be fair, Dylan has said, you know, in relation to gearing up for international play and stuff, he said we don't want to rely on just getting gold leads anymore. We want to build more things into our comps to win. So yeah.
So they
Swain.
dove to set themselves behind for the challenge.
That's the cope
I mean,
take.
so I think, like, is these two teams good? I still think they are. The problem
in
why
Europe,
they seem... Even on an international stage at times with some of the games they had, like if you just saw the first game of G2 isolated, everyone on social media was saying, this is great, this team can actually battle. You know,
and
then
if
you
people
see
on
game
social
two,
media are saying it.
exactly, then it must be true. And then we see game two, and then it goes back and forth. I think the consistency in lacking, and that's the big aspect in terms of they're not consistently good. And that's why you're worried, because you know the ceiling of the teams are high, but they're not consistently doing it, and that's what worries them. And yeah, that game we just saw right now, that was not good game quality. Like the dives that we saw were not what we would like to see on a consistent basis.
Exactly. You don't want to be doomer though, but I do hope both of these teams clean it up going into Montpellier. But of course, we'll see who goes straight to the grand finals. But and their updates about the unofficial MVP.
Right, of course. Going
Now.
into this match, of course, BB held it. Nisqy killed BB to claim it, but then Caps killed Nisqy in that mid lane fight that sort of swung the game back. So even though BB carried the game, the MVP, it's Caps. We know it to be true.
Okay, cool.
Now Mikyx needs to kill Caps, and then he can get it back.
Yes. By some tower dive and he...
Yeah.
Wait, so if the tower kills Caps in a tower dive that Caps is involved in to help Mikyx and Hansama, but Caps dies to the tower, it's
Renata
Mikyx.
on enemy team ults
Yes.
him, he kills Caps.
Yes.
That counts.
Yes, that counts. Anyways, game 4. Predictions.
following any of
G2
this?
closing it out. They are, with all those shenanigans, we might forget that they are just one step away from the grand finals. But you know very well, because last year you ran the lower bracket to beat them in the finals, so maybe they don't want to be there.
Yeah, I mean, last year I was in Mad Lions' position. I think we were the team that lost to G2 in the upper bracket finals, like they are right now, and then they made the run through the lower bracket. So it depends pretty much on how the team is on the day, because I think for us last year it benefited us a lot that we got an extra series to kind of like warm up for the G2 series. And I don't know, some teams just function a lot better with just, you know, keeping fresh, because some teams do warm up, some teams just don't. They just want to go in blind. So it's both a blessing and a curse for this one.
Okay. GB, who's winning game 4?
I mean, I genuinely can't say out of the games we've just seen so far. It'd be a shot in the dark, I'll be honest.
Okay. Fine.
The
We'll
turrets.
go to a break and we'll see what happens, if it's going to be G2 straight to the grand finals, or if Mad bring us the silver scrapes. I think that's the one.
Not going to be able to find the Q. Flashes away. Carzzy, he's staying alive for now. Rooted in. Blaze
it's a
Hunt needs
nightmare.
one more shot. This overlook and
G2.
the heal. They find the kill, but immediately lose 2. Hylissang, in fact, takes so
What
much
is he
damage
doing?
underneath the tower. Below 100. One lost onto it. Hansama picks
Yoya's
it up.
dead.
What was that? 2 quick kills for Hansama. Carzzy at least gets one in reply, but that was awful.
What the hell are these dives? Stop diving each other.
Top lane. Get flash. Zilean's gonna ult him, okay? Yeah, doesn't matter. Kill him again after. I'll try to help you. I'm dead.
Look at Aphelios.
Aphelios. I'm mega huge! Nice. Renekton flashed.
Tristana is fine.
Nice, boys. Good job, baby.
Azir
Nice,
flash.
everyone.